This regular meeting of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees is called to order at 7:05 p.m. on January 14th, 2016. At this time, please join me in standing as Richard Fleming leads the board in its opening prayer, and remain standing as John Matthews leads the board in the Pledge of Allegiance and the U.S. and the Texas flag.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings that you continue to bestow upon our district. Thank you for this brand new season that you have given us. Please continue to give us the wisdom to guide our students and our teachers in this new year. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
on
The Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Please be seated.
I'm good.
Thank you all for being here this evening. I do have just a couple of housekeeping comments to make. As a district, we do dedicate all of our effort and resources to our goal of high achievement for all of our students. And the board uses this goal to guide us in all of our deliberation, decisions, and actions. You, of course, will get to see all deliberation, decision, and actions of the board in open session. However, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in closed session, which is available and authorized by Texas Government Code Section 551, which is commonly known as the Open Meetings Act. These items typically deal with personnel matter, consultation with our attorney, and real estate. For the record, all board members are here. We do constitute a quorum, and we can conduct business on behalf of the school district. As required by board policy, BBD local, at each meeting of the board, the president shall announce and the minutes shall reflect the name of each board member who has completed the required training, who has exceeded the required hours of training, and who is deficient in required training as of the date of the meeting before any vote of the board is taken. Let the minutes reflect that all members of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees, with the exception of Mr. Ramos, have exceeded the number of hours required for 2015. Also, let the records reflect that Mr. Ramos meets the requirements of training for 2015 because he is in compliance with the continuing education credit timeline for new board members based upon his installation date of October 8th, 2015. That being said, we will now proceed with agenda item 2, which is report by the superintendent, Dr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Good, and members of the board. Welcome to all our guests tonight. Since achievement is our goal, our priority obviously is student learning, so we'll start the meeting talking about student learning, particularly about the concept of ingenuity. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Warnock at this time to introduce our student achievement presentation. Ms. Warnock.
Thank you, Dr. Burns. This year, our board is engaged in continuous learning and improvement in a study of Gary Marx's text, 21 Trends for the 21st Century. So each month we explore one of the 21 trends that we need to be considering and its implications for schools in the 21st century. So tonight, it is my pleasure to turn our presentation over to Tracy Smith, our Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Schools, to talk about ingenuity.
Thank you, Ms. Warnock. When you look at this slide, what do you see? An ordinary paper plate, Mickey Mouse's ears, a favorite toy for a favorite friend, or something else entirely. As children, we view things through different lenses, finding unique potential in the ordinary and mundane. We remember the fun we had using our imagination to build a fort, design robots, and slay dragons. In education, our task is to continue to nurture our students' innovation and creativity. As Pablo Picasso put it, every child is an artist, The problem is staying an artist when you grow up. On the screen are 5 people who utilized their ingenuity to change the world. Whether you view the changes they made as positive or negative depends on your perspective. We'd like to invite you to turn to a neighbor sitting near you and discuss which individual on the screen disrupted your life the most and why. Turn and talk to a neighbor with a neighbor. Thank you. I loved the burst of laughter as soon as I asked that question, not sure what that was. In his book, 21 Trends for the 21st Century, author Gary Marks states, "Releasing ingenuity, stimulating creativity, and encouraging imagination are not just nice things to do. Instead, they're essential to the advancement and the very survival of both our economy and our civil society, wherever we live on the planet." Tonight, we're going to share a few ways CFB provides opportunities for students to unleash their creative potential. Last year, we highlighted the importance of not only teaching discrete skills and disciplines, but allowing students the opportunity to utilize that information as they transfer their knowledge to new situations. Middle school students transferred information they learned in their mathematics class to help them complete an assignment in art. Through their ingenuity, students transformed walls across the building into rooms with perspective and dimension. Several librarians in CFB are utilizing the concept of maker spaces to engage students in creative problem solving. Through choice and experimentation, students work together on things such as assembling and disassembling technology, exploring with Legos, and programming robotics. Let's watch as Ms. Stout, librarian at McLaughlin Elementary, motivates her students through the use of maker spaces.
A makerspace lesson itself is going to focus on the creative process, solving a problem. It's a very open-ended type of lesson.
We're trying to build bigger and thicker walls because this bug keeps breaking it through.
Because we want them to make those connections and figure out how to solve that problem themselves.
Yeah, that's a weak spot.
Well, one of the main things that I see happening is that children start to learn that failure is part of the process. And they're learning that, especially those children that are such perfectionists that want everything to go right the first time, they start to see, this wasn't a failure. I learned that this worked really well and this did not work really well. So here is try number 4. And oh, yes. They are well aware that they're the experts here, or that they are welcome to experiment until they are the experts.
That's our only problem. We don't have enough time.
And we can walk around, and even you saw that we didn't all get finished, but just doing the process is the finishing, really. More reliance on themselves as a problem solver instead of just sit and get type of activities. They're learning that they are part of the process of learning and figuring things out. And
Your finger, everyone.
Across the world, tens of millions of students in over 180 countries joined in the Hour of Code. Students in CFB were part of that number, as most of our campuses participated with students writing code and programming apps on a variety of devices. In one instance, METSA students traveled to Central Elementary as mentors as they worked through the project. All in all, the experience across the district was a success, as you can see by the young lady on the right. We expect the event to be even bigger and better next year. High school students in CFB have the opportunity to take classes designed to allow them to pursue an interest. They identify a real-world problem and utilize their ingenuity to solve it. Earlier this year, Joey Piriano and Keaton Robinson, who are enrolled in the senior exhibition class at R.L. Turner, came to share their drone project. We'll leave you with this video as we catch up on the progress they've made since September. Also featured in this video is their teacher, Jose Guerrero, who along with METSA director Jordan Rios are with us tonight.
So the original idea was to use a drone to aerially assess an ecosystem to look at vegetation health and water allocation.
For the time given for us, it was not a lot of time to complete everything that we wanted, but it was perfect for getting like a basic understanding of what we need to do like in the future to continue on with the project.
We found that the DJI flame wheel drone was going to be the best for our purposes, and due to funding, we were not able to get that, but we were able to find one with similar properties.
So their project was pretty original in that they utilized some of their experience, during high school, that of which would be, software engineering and also digital engineering, to then transpose that information onto their project.
We ended up raising about $60 through that, but that was about it. And for for our ideal drone, it was I believe it was $450. We decided to look at more budget efficient drones.
They did very well, actually. Real world problem, something that ties to something that they want to do in college.
It was a very windy day when we decided to use the drone, and so we were shooting the video and pictures above the park, and Joey starts to take off with the drone, and it just flies all the way across a yard into a guy's tree directly above the roof. And so we tried several methods of recovery, and none of which were successful, so we left a note, and the next day we came back, and the gentleman that lived there was very kind enough to help us get it down. We got a ladder, got up on the roof. It's the first time I've ever been on a roof, and retrieved the drone.
Dr. Burns, that concludes our presentation.
What to learn is important, but how to be a learner is more important. And so teaching kids how to be thinkers, problem solvers, and learners is what carry them past school. And also, we have to be concerned about not only preparing for the future, but creating our future. And that's what CFB focuses on, is about the achievement of our students, both in how to learn and what to learn. So, board members, I know that you have enjoyed the book, but any comments are always appreciated.
Board members, any questions at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation. And with that, Dr. Burns, we will move on to agenda item 3, which is recognition of special guests and announcements.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Good. Members of the board, as you know, each board meeting, we honor a new group of VIPs, and VIPs are our very important professional staff members. And the CFB VIP program has been in existence for almost 25 years now. And it's a program where we honor our teachers, our nurses, our librarians, and other campus staff members for their commitment and dedication to our students in CFB. And each year we want to tell them how much we appreciate them and thank you. And this year we decided the best way to do that was to put it in a handwritten note. So our VIPs, in your place there, you have a bag. Okay, you should have a bag. And in those bags, you're going to find notes filled with thank yous and gratitude from staff and students. You know, there are a lot of things that you can be given, but I think given the thanks of your students and the peers that you work with will mean so much to you. So it is our certainly deepest appreciation for what you do all the time, and thank you. Okay? We are going to honor you up front here in just a minute, and so when your principal calls your name, come meet us in the front. Mr. Good and I will be there. We'd like for our your friends, family, and staff members who are here tonight present to please stand when your VIP is introduced so that you can celebrate with us. Okay? Mr. Good?
Okay, very good.
Good evening. I'm Eva Maynor Walker, Principal of Blanton Elementary, and I'm honored to introduce our newest member in the very important profession of teaching, our fourth grade teacher, Queen Tron. Queen began her teaching career in her native Vietnam in 2004. After 2 years of teaching English to undergraduate students, she immigrated to Texas. She attended the University of North Texas to get her teaching certificate and later earned a master's degree in early childhood. Queen's love of education began at an early age when her older brother, who took care of her while her parents were at work, taught her to read and to do math. Her first English words were learned from her brother. Queen lovingly describes her brother as very well educated and very humble individual. Her brother was also instrumental in her future because he introduced her to the internet and in a roundabout way to meeting her now husband, Scott. Queen's teaching ability was developed early. Her mother noticed that she was a natural at explaining things to others, and while there wasn't a lot of money to spare, her parents made sure to buy her books. Armed with a small home library and a passion for teaching, she would invite kids from her small town to come and read with her. That is why she became a teacher, because that is all she ever wanted to be. Queen is fascinated with the complexity of teaching students and wants to transform them from passive learners to active participants. She wants them to be doers, thinkers, problem solvers, achievers, innovators, and responsible citizens who will handle any situation that comes their way. She wants to empower them to see the opportunities that are out there and to be better every single day. Her 2 years of serving in the District Improvement Council certainly had an impact on her. High achievement for all students became her own personal motto because she strongly believes in our district philosophy. Queen has been the grade level leader for the past 3 years. She has also mentored student teachers for the past 2 years. Ms. Bindle, one of her student teachers, expressed it best when she said, "Words cannot describe how thankful I am to have had a mentor who selflessly loved me and ever so carefully guided me through the ins and outs of teaching. I admire your heart that you pour out over your students, co-workers, and school every single day. It is a heart that desires for every child to feel loved, cherished, listened to, and advocated for. That is the heart of a true teacher. Miss Stone shared her thoughts about Queen. Watching Miss Tron teach was like a work of art. She greets the students as they walk into her room with a warm smile, but also a smile that shows she means business. She pushes the students to reach for the stars and does whatever she can to help them reach it. She motivates students to believe in themselves and take ownership of their schoolwork. She holds students accountable, but does so in a way that is lovingly and powerful. Ms. Strong ignited my passion for teaching in ways I never thought possible. I am now a kindergarten teacher, and I consistently go through the school days thinking, what would Ms. Strong do? She's a beautiful on the outside and even more beautiful on the inside. It was a pleasure to learn from Ms. Strong and experience a classroom like hers. Although Ms. Tron never expects anything in return, her work truly is deserving of such an awesome award. One of her teammates said, I thank the Lord for your life. You are a caring, hardworking, smart, and pretty little woman. When I think of Queen, the image of the Energizer Bunny comes to mind. She has tireless energy that is always directed to helping students succeed. Her focus never wavers. She does not give up on anyone, and she always gives 100% in anything she does, and she does it with a smile. Queen's motivation comes from many sources. Her pride and joy are her children, Cole and Mai. She wants to make her family proud, and so she puts her heart into everything she does. She feels that she works with so many talented colleagues that, in her own words, she has to keep up with them. We are truly honored and blessed to work with such a wonderful, caring, and talented individual. Please join me and our Blanton family in congratulating Queen Tron and welcoming her as our newest member of the very important profession of teaching.
Good evening, Dr. Burns, Mr. Good, and members of the school board. My name is Megan Forbes, and I have the honor of serving as the Country Place Elementary Assistant Principal. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Emily Wakefield to the very important profession of teaching. Emily is a kindergarten teacher, yes, kindergarten. That means she works with 5- and 6-year-olds all day long. She creates background knowledge, teaches kids all of their letter sounds, numbers, and even how to read. She stops tears, handles accidents, teaches students how to be good friends, and walk in line. She trains parents on the ins and outs of school and helps them allow their child to begin to become independent. Emily does all of this every day with a smile. She smiles all day long, in times of celebration and in times of stress. Emily exudes happiness, and it is quite evident that she loves her job. Mrs. Wakefield is a mentor to our new pre-kindergarten teacher and her new teammate. She's willing to answer questions and help where she's needed. Emily's also a member of our PTA school board, student council sponsor, and campus culture team. What is most important about Emily Wakefield is not the things she does, it's who she is. She is genuine, thoughtful, kind, and dedicated. Her colleagues had a lot to say about Emily and why she should be the Country Place VIP. She's the best, seriously. I can't think of a time when she has said no when I asked her to do anything. She's incredibly patient and kind, and she deals with 5-year-olds every single day with a smile on her face. I love her. One of the special education teachers recognized Emily as well by saying she's flexible and accepting of our students, even the ones that aren't in kinder yet. You see, Emily has a heart for kids. She does what's right instead of what's easy. She loves each student for the individual that they are and finds their strengths and builds on their weaknesses. She is a ray of sunshine and joy. She's got a kind heart and always radiates positivity and love for her job. Our students had some insight as to what makes Mrs. Wakefield amazing. Jaden said, she lets us do workstations and she's beautiful. Micah shared, she teaches us real well and she also sprays us with her magic spray. Trenton loves the wiggle breaks and is convinced that those wiggle breaks help him learn. Perhaps the greatest compliment for Miss Wakefield was received from a student who has selective mutism, but will only talk exclusively to Emily. You see, Miss Wakefield knows just what to say and what to do to make each child feel comfortable, loved, and confident in themselves. She creates joy and excitement for learning every day just by being her. Here to celebrate this special event with Emily today are her husband Grant, mother Cheryl, sister Melissa, and Country Place friends. I'm sure her family feels incredible pride as they stand here today, and the Country Place community would like to thank them for sharing Emily with us every day. Please join me in recognizing Miss Emily Wakefield as the Country Place VIP.
Good evening, Mr. Good, school board members, Dr. Burns, and CFB family. I am Aviance Jones, principal of Las Colinas Elementary IB World School. What a joy it is to introduce to you Las Colinas' new member of the very important profession of teaching, Miss Jody Galgay. Jody has been an educator for 15 years. This is her 10th year with Carrollton-Farmers branch. So not only will we honor her tonight for her remarkable contribution to children, but also in the fall for her dedication and service to CFB. We learn with and through others is not just a saying in Jody Galgay's classroom. It is an everyday practice. It's rarely quiet in Miss Galgay's room. And it's not just because this year she happens to have a pretty chatty group of second graders, but it's also because she knows the value of students learning from each other through conversation. And while observing and listening to those thought-provoking conversations, Miss Galgay never misses a teachable moment. On or off her lesson plan, if she sees an opportunity to deepen our Mustangs' learning, she takes it, but always refocuses on the target. This is why her students love her so much. Ms. Galgay's students, past and present, have these kind words to say about her. I love her 100%. I feel happy when I go to Ms. Galgay's class. It makes my day very nice. Ms. Galgay gives good hugs all the time, and she makes math and science fun. Miss Galgay is so sweet. She is very kind in the way she treats us, like we are her kids, but we're not. She's like Rey from Star Wars. Rey is force sensitive. Rey is strong in the force. And Miss Galgay is a strong teacher. Jody, I'm sure you can guess which student made that last comment. The Las Colinas teachers and staff also feel and see the love and dedication Jody has for the students and the staff. Mrs. Slack, Jody's teammate, says, Jody has been an awesome team lead for the 3 years that I've been at LCE. She has been my mentor since the day I started my first year, and I've learned so much from her over the past few years. She is always willing to help anyone out. She always has a smile on her face. I admire how she challenges her students and her passion for teaching math and science. I could go on and on about Jody, but in a few short words, she is just plain awesome. Ms. Thomas added, Jody is amazing. She's an amazing teammate and friend to everyone. She is always willing to help in any way that she can, no matter how busy she may be. Although she's been teaching for many years, she is always bringing new ideas and knowledge to the table. Jody is a perfect example of a teacher, and I have enjoyed every moment working with her. And no matter what our adventurous days may bring, she always manages to make it look like a piece of cake. As I close and think about our district goal of high achievement for all students and the IB learner profiles and attitudes we teach our Mustangs, I can't help but to see Jody. She truly embodies all that we are as a school and all that we desire for our students in Carrollton-Farmers branch. Jody is a true asset to Team LCE Mustang Strong. She is also a dedicated mother to her two wonderful children, Connor and Riley. I know they feel as lucky as we do to have Jody as part of their lives. Las Colinas Elementary, IB World School, and CFB are indeed fortunate to have Miss Jody Galgay as a member of the very important profession of teaching.
Good evening. My name is Danette Cardosa, and I'm the principal at McWhorter Elementary School, and I have the privilege of introducing our VIP this year, Chase Inman. We met Chase spring 2013 when at that time, within 6 days, we hired him at McWhorter. He moved to Dallas, he graduated college, and got married to Mrs. Inman, who is a first grade teacher at Furneaux Elementary School. So we had a very exciting start. He's admired by staff and students. He's creative and always carries the teach like a pirate spirit. From his Minecraft lessons where he teaches students to dig deeper, to find the gems and diamonds in learning, to building a brick wall, literally in our science lab with bricks and concrete, to show students that working together, we are stronger. To his crowning glory this year, we're after 2 years of trying to collect funds, gather volunteers, and brainstorm ideas with the staff. He was able to bring to life a real garden in our school's backyard where students can grow vegetables and it will become an outdoor learning space. Some of the teachers at McWhorter said, "I'm impressed with Chase Inman and his passion and dedication to the students at our school. He brings in relevant hands-on learning. He goes above and beyond to reach not only his kids, but all the kids." Also, Mr. Inman is a VIP because he is always ready and willing to give a pep talk to the students, even the teachers sometimes. Finally, people are just naturally drawn to Chase. He's one of the good guys. He's likable, polite, and lets you joke with him. He's kind, compassionate, and when you talk to him, you leave the conversation feeling better about yourself. We asked a few of the students to share why they think Mr. Inman is a VIP. Here's what a few fifth graders said. Besides chanting around the classroom and said, "My teacher's a VIP, my teacher's a VIP." After we moved past that emotion, they said, "Mr. Inman, you're our VIP because you never let me give up. You like to prove that we can accomplish something in life. Even though I'm not good at math, you help me solve it. You give me good strategies to solve the answer, and you're very strict but funny too. Every day when you come to teach us, you always wear ties, and I like them. You're the reason I have an A in math and science. I always wanted to be in your class when I got to 5th grade. You make me work harder, and when I get a question wrong, you never yell. You help me be 100%. And one of the students summed it all up very simply by saying, "Mr. Inman, you the bomb.com." Well, Mr. Inman, our animal-loving, wall-building, Minecraft-playing, magic pony maker, gardening friend, I believe we all agree, Mr. Inman, you the bomb.com. Oh.
Good evening, Dr. Burns, President Good, and distinguished board members. I'm Charlotte Thomas, principal at Annie Hanks Rainwater Elementary, and we're here tonight to introduce our newest member to the very important profession of teaching, Katie Owen. As we all know, CFB produces and attracts some pretty amazing people. Case in point, Miss Owen. It wasn't so long ago that Miss Owen walked the very halls of Rainwater as a student herself after it opened back in 1994. She continued her academic career from Rainwater to Blaylock, then to Creekview. Her last stop was UNT, where she decided on a career in teaching after giving consideration to a few other options, including psychology, criminal justice, and a professional soccer player. However, her love of teaching, understanding the importance of education, and her desire to help others led her to follow her heart's desire into teaching. She credits her second grade teacher, Mrs. Hahn, for inspiring and encouraging her to add to her schema of wanting to learn more. Mrs. Owen has shown tremendous growth in her 6 years at Rainwater. She has gone from being a newbie to a veteran on the block. She is currently the GT teacher of record for first grade, the team leader for first grade, digital committee member, and co-sponsor of the cooking club, along with many other roles that she plays on our campus. Over the last years, her colleagues have had some amazing things to say about her. She is enthusiastic about teaching and has a great love for her students. She puts her students first and loves all that she does for her kids. She seeks to improve the quality of education and is passionate about technology. Her students also feel the same way. Chloe says she's super nice and she lets us sit anywhere during Reader's Workshop. Annie says she's calm and doesn't get on us. And Colin summed it all up by saying she's nice and she loves us all. Yes, we are honored to have Miss Owen as a teammate, a colleague, and a supporter of children, and for all of these qualities, Miss Owen belongs to the very important profession of teaching.
Let's give our VIPs one more big round of applause. To really make public education happen, you need a great staff, you need a great community, and you need business partners to help you accomplish and support you in helping educate everyone in the community to the highest level. And so we're very fortunate in the school district. We have many businesses that we're able to honor. And tonight, we are very honored to do our next very important business, which is Van Hyundai, and Mr. Frank Shore, our Vice President, is going to do the honors.
Tonight, it is our honor to recognize Van Hyundai for their involvement in our partnership and education program. We are thankful to have a relationship with Van. Their constant outreach is an example of what is possible when a public school and a community of caring individuals work together to be partners in the education and welfare of our students. The partnership between Van Hyundai and CFB impacts many areas in our district and community. Van Hyundai, under the leadership of George Donaldson, has a mission to give back to the community and schools. Mr. Jim Pratt serves our community as Van Hyundai's community liaison. Mr. Pratt has been a strong supporter of CFB by serving on the Educational Foundation Board of Directors and also serves as a CFB ISD Community Ambassador. Van Hyundai supports our community through their involvement on local boards and committees, serving Metrica services, area chambers of commerce, and area churches. They contribute financially to sponsor events in our community. All of the organizations Van supports have a direct positive impact on our schools and community. As a member of the BEST program, Business and Education Succeeding Together, Van Hyundai employs student interns from CFB ISD. The Van Hyundai staff give their time to train our students and prepare them to be workforce ready, while providing an experience students need for future professional growth and employment. Representatives from Van also serve on the Auto Tech Advisory Council for CFB ISD to assist in the development of R.L. Turner Auto Tech program. Van Hyundai has sponsored events for CFB and supported many teacher recognition events through the CFB Educational Foundation. They have also financially supported our high school athletic teams by purchasing advertising for the fall and spring sports programs. In addition, Van Hyundai has donated $3,000 to the Creekview High School Law and Criminal Justice Academy through the Educational Foundation Impact Now initiative. This funding will help these students to attend and compete in local and state debates and tournaments. Known for their impeccable service, Van Hyundai provides their preferred partner program for all CFB ISD employees. This program provides discounts on services and purchases at Van Hyundai in Carrollton. In 2015, a new project was developed for CFB students through Van Hyundai. Van Hyundai developed a scholarship program for students to create an advertisement for the dealership. The scholarship recipients were selected by CFB ISD Educational Foundation. Students with winning ads were awarded scholarships in the amount of $2,500 for first place and $1,000 for second place. Please take a look at one of the winning ads created by first place winner Nayli Medina Araval from Newman Smith High School. Nayli is the creative mind behind the ad, and her idea was made into a part of Van Hyundai's new advertising campaign.
This is Dean. Right now, Dean is regretting ever getting out of his new Hyundai Santa Fe. Unlike when he first got into it at Van Hyundai, Dean got his new Santa Fe for the style, the versatility, for America's best warranty. Oh, yes, and the remote entry feature. All that for just $299 a month. Get with the in-crowd at Van Hyundai, I-35 East and Beltline, or vanhyundai.com.
On behalf of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District Board of Trustees, and with James Good, President officiating, and Dr. Bobby Burns, Superintendent presenting, it is our privilege to present this recognition of thanks to Van Hyundai. Van has truly exemplified a meaningful partnership between our community and our schools. Accepting this plaque and representing Van Hyundai is Managing Partner George Donaldson and Community Liaison and Educational Foundation Board Member Jim Pratt.
Mr. Good, if I may, take the lead here for just a minute, because the next part is the time that we want to honor our board. The January is Board Appreciation Month. I do have to say, though, that I think it ought to be more than once a year. I think we ought to recognize our board once a month, if not more, for their dedication and their commitment to the students of this school district. And we're going to talk a little bit more about them in just a minute. But we have a very special guest with us tonight, Mr. Doug Herbachik from the city of Carrollton, and he's here to read a proclamation.
Well, good evening. My name is Doug Herbachik. I'm a city councilman here in Carrollton, and last year, in a continued effort to work on relationships with our school partners, our mayor appointed liaisons to each of our school partners, and I was appointed the liaison for this Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District. Let me begin by reading a proclamation from our mayor, and typically he's pretty concise, but bear with me here. Whereas the mission of the public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors in our constitutional republic, and whereas local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child, and whereas local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, other community members to create the educational vision we want for our students, and Whereas, local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system, and whereas, local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now, therefore, I, Matthew Marchant, Mayor of Carrollton, do hereby declare my appreciation to the members of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District Board of Trustees and proclaim the month of January 2016 as School Board Recognition Month here in Carrollton. I urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and working with them to mold an educational system that meets the needs of all of our children. Matthew Marchant, Mayor of Carrollton. Those of you that know him know that's a lot for him. So let me additionally add that we here in Carrollton are laser focused on our redevelopment efforts, and we've recognized 2 or 3 critical components to that. And at the top of that list is our schools. And we are very, very fortunate here in Carrollton that the kids in our community are getting a great education. So for that, I want to say very, very much thank you on behalf of the City of Carrollton. Personally, as a product of the district, as a parent in the district, and as the son of a teacher that was here for 35 years, I want to say thank you all very much. And we too very much support high achievement for all of our students. So James, I will present this to you with trustees. Thank you all for your service to our community.
Doug, thank you. You want to get a picture? Would you like to?
Thank you, Mr. Abacik. Now, board members, we never want to put you on the spot or make you feel a little uncomfortable, but this is the one time of year we do that, okay? So get ready. We're going to give you some more recognition and some more accolades. And here tonight, next, we have the Perry Middle School Kickstart program to do a demonstration for you in your honor. think we may have found some new required training. Might be really good, might be really helpful. In addition, board members, tonight you received at your place some more tokens of appreciation from our schools. You are our superheroes. And so in their appreciation to you, I think you will enjoy the cards. And kids have a way of framing things that keep things in perspective. So I think you will enjoy reading many things that they have said to you and thanking you for your service. And for our audience out there, I just want to give you just a glimpse of the commitment and the hours that these board members put in. Just in board meetings and work studies and preparing for those things alone, it's about 50 to 60 hours. In addition, they have required training from the state, which comes up to about 29 to 30 hours each year that they accumulate. But we just kind of did a grand total. When you put all of those things together and you put the events that they go to, fine arts events and athletic events, and the things that they go to support our students and our staff, our board averages about 219 hours a year that they put in just for our students and for you. And for that, I think they should be commended and thanked. That concludes our recognition for tonight.
Very good, thank you. This is also my opportunity to make some comments regarding some special people that are sitting here on the front row. It is our pleasure as board members to be able to honor you because we do learn quite a bit about who you are, whether it be the Energizer Bunny or your love of Star Wars, or whether you're even a graduate of our school district. All of you have a special story to be told, and we are thrilled in a small way that part of that story can be told here so that we can relish your accomplishments and feel like in some small way that we are part of your accomplishments. So it's truly an honor for us to say thank you to all of you and your accomplishments within our school district. It does go beyond that because it does require our community to help us to get all students to that high proficiency level. And to Hyundai, Van Hyundai, we're indeed thankful for what you do for our school district, what you have done in the past, and hopefully what we can anticipate in the future. And in one sense, it is an honor to be able to say that we have been of value to you when it comes to a commercial. And also, I'd like to say thank you to the City of Carrollton for the relationship we have with them and for their recognition of this school district being something positive that is available to them to show to the community and to prospective people and businesses who want to come to Carrollton. And finally, to our students in the back from DeWitt Perry from the Kickstart program. We are in truth thankful for you being here. We are also thankful that we were sitting up here and not down there. But you're a representation of just one of many programs in this school district that we are truly honored to be able to financially provide a budget that allows programs such as Kickstart to be within our school district, and especially the quality of the individuals that come out of such programs. So once again, to you at DeWitt Perry, thank you for being here this evening. I believe that covers pretty much all of our individuals who have been here for some period of time. Tomorrow is a school, tomorrow's a school day. Monday and Tuesday is not. I believe that's right. Is that correct? Okay, want to make sure. I always remind people in some of the business civic organizations to be mindful of the school zones. Do not speed. And a lot of them always remind me they have been reminded by the police department. But to all of you, thank you.
Mr. Gould, may I add that On Saturday, we will be participating in our annual Martin Luther King Parade. Many and most of our schools do participate and march in the parade, and so we're honored. We're always thankful to the Rainwaters and their team for continuing to make sure that this event happens, and so even if the weather's bad, it's a good parade, okay? So please come out and join us and support our students on Saturday as well. 10 o'clock starts at City Hall.
Very good. Finally, I know you would love to stay for the entire meeting. However, I know you probably have children and preparation for students in the morning. We are going to take a 10-minute recess so that if you like, you may leave, and we will then continue our meeting. So we will recess at 8:03 p.m. This meeting is reconvened at 8:13 p.m. and the next item is agenda item 4A, which is audience for guests. Audience for guests is a mechanism that the board uses to hear from residents in our community, and anyone who wishes to speak to the board may do so by submitting a form that's outside the double doors and giving that form to Ms. Scrivener. I have received some already, but I wanted to make one last opportunity for someone. If they'd like to, they may still do that. With that being said, if I may make a couple of comments, comments should pertain to public education issues and be no longer than 3 minutes. Our timekeeper, Mr. Frank Shore, will provide a hand signal as the end of your 3-minute approaches. And we hope that you will accommodate him when he lets you know that your 3 minutes is up. Remember that the board may not discuss or act on any issues that are not posted on our agenda for tonight's meeting. If you wish to speak on an item that is on the agenda, you may speak at the time that item comes up. Ms. Scrivener, have you received any further audience for guests?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay. With that being said, I will call your name and please come up to the microphone here, introduce yourself, identify where you live, and then Mr. Shore will start the timer. First person is Ms. Shirley Tarpley.
My name is Shirley Tarpley, and I live at 1507 Milam Way, Carrollton, 75006. I had to go into the nail spa today to get my regular nail done. And I want Miss Brown to know, where is she, that I did not have to put on my badge as a CFB ambassador. Somehow the owner of the shop started talking about her son who is in special ed, and he's 9 years old and doesn't talk. And so when I asked her, I said, are you happy with what's happening to your son? And boy, did she unload. She was so happy. I said, Miss Brown should hear her talk. I didn't even have to, say anything good about Carrollton-Farmers branch because everybody in there. She went on to say she just loves it, that they are doing great work, and a blah blah this and a blah blah that, and then I was looking at everybody as they was looking at her, bragging about Carrollton-Farmers branch. I said, well, my job is done. I just introduced. So I told her that I was going to the board meeting tonight, and I said that I am going to tell them how pleased you are with our district and what they are doing for your son in the school. He goes to McLaughlin. And she is so happy. She is so happy. And so I just wanted to keep my word to tell y'all that I didn't have to say a word. When I mentioned Carrollton-Farmers branch, it was just open book, and I don't want my neck cut off, so I'm getting up and going back.
Very good. The next person is Ms. Dawn Rink.
Hello, I'm Dawn Rink, principal of McCoy Elementary School. Our district has led the commitment to gifted education for over 30 years with our highly gifted school within a school LEAP program housed at my campus. Our gifted students want to thank our school board and administration for the LEAP program that they value. Our LEAP students and parents in kinder through grade 5 wrote small letters that are on our tree of thanks to each and every one of you. And they asked that we read a few of them tonight. Katie Cannon, 4th grade LEAP teacher for math and science, will read some of those that I know you'll want to hear.
Thank you for the opportunity to learn at my level. That's a high level, and I like it. I love that my child is now a part of the LEAP program. It's a special place with special teachers. I know the school board is in charge of keeping the LEAP program. Thank you for making sure we have the best teachers and a school that feels fun to me every day. Thank you for the bus transportation that takes my child across the district to McCoy. Every day, it's worth it. Thanks for making high achievement real for my child. Thank you for making me work really hard each day. It makes my brain hurt, but in a good way. Thank you for keeping the LEAP program and improving it each year. Thank you for Genius Hour this year. I liked researching about what I wanted to learn. It's awesome. I hear that I can now take pre-AP biology as an 8th grader at Perry Middle School when I'm an 8th grade LEAP student. That means I can take at least 4 AP science classes in high school. That's my goal. I really like science. Thank you for accelerating my child in math. He really likes math, and LEAP makes liking math not weird.
We will offer this LEAP thank you tree to Dr. Catherine Schaefer, our Executive Director of Advanced Academic Services, who will make sure that you will have the opportunity to reach each and every note. Thank you so much for your support, and happy Board Appreciation Month. We appreciate you.
Next is Tara Herbacik.
Good evening, President Good, members of the board, Dr. Burns, and staff. My name is Tara Herbacik, and I live at 1406 North Main Street in Carrollton, Texas. I'm here to provide another update as to the activities of the CFB Council PTA and their local unit counterparts. Membership is a year-round activity with PTA. Currently, as a council, we're down several hundred members from last year, but we do have several local units that have significantly increased their membership, so that's a positive. Anyone, whether you have a child in the district or not, can join PTA. So as you are out with your friends and neighbors, please remind them to go to cfbpta.org and follow the links to join. Reflections is a national PTA program that welcomes all grades and abilities to explore and be involved in the arts. Of the 180 entries that were submitted to council, 22 entries moved on to the state competition. We will host a reflections ceremony on February 2nd at 6:30 p.m. at R.E. Good Elementary. Our most recent council meeting was yesterday. The CFB Council elected the nominating committee, which will develop a slate of officers for the 2016-2017 school year for election at a future meeting. Our local units will be undergoing the same process to help identify the future leaders of their PTAs. The council board decided to eliminate the gently used book sale this year. A committee was developed to determine action for the 10,000 books we currently have, as well as plan and develop our next big thing that we hope will provide a great community, school, and family engagement experience. Our next council PTA meeting is Wednesday, March 16th at 9:45 a.m., where the theme is advocacy. Advocacy is one of the 3 tenets of PTA, but sometimes gets lost in the business of PTA. We continue to work to educate our members and prospective members as to what PTAs do to advocate for every child. As mentioned by others, January is School Board Appreciation Month. CFB Council PTA expresses our sincere thanks for everything you all do for all the kids in our district. It is appreciated by many. Thank you as well for your continued support of PTA and for backing the future.
Thank you. Next is Sharon Escher.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Escher. I'm a parent. I live at 14250 Coral Harbor Court in Farmers Branch, Texas, 75234. First of all, I thank you very much for the opportunity and being able to address you in person tonight. And I want to thank you very much for, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I'm speaking here tonight in behalf of the Association for Gifted and Talented. I am the current president and of the AGT. And the reason I'm standing here in front of you is I wanted truthfully and from all my heart and in behalf of all the gifted community, thank you for the program you have been and are providing throughout the years for the gifted children. I know, and this is not only from my own experience, that many thrive through these opportunities. And through my own experience, I can tell that I have had 2 of my children, just one graduated last year, one graduated this year. They went through your system with a lot of success. I have still 3 of my children in your gifted program, and they are thriving. I want to thank all your staff members who are here every day, who are people who create the program, people who support the program. It's a wonderful, outstanding chance for these students. I have experienced school systems outside the United States. I experienced school systems, international school systems in Iran. I experienced school system in Europe, and I have the opportunity to compare these with what I have here in Carrollton-Farmers Branch. It is unique, and I'm very thankful for that. I know that we are here all for our children. I know and we all know that that our children are holding the future. Some of them will change the future, and we are here to guide them. So thank you very much for everything you are doing, and I hope this will be something that continues in the future, and I know it will. The only one request I would have that you please maybe consider to adding mathematics into the ACE programming in the future. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Next is John DeLorme.
Good evening, President Good, board members. My name is John DeLorme. I live at 6643 De Leon Street, Irving, Texas, 75039 in Sena, Las Colinas. Just wanted to make a couple of brief comments. People mentioned and we had the award from the LEAP program. I had the pleasure of going on the tour last year at McCoy. It was a great experience. I wish all the parents in our district could go do the same tour that I did. I think if they did that, we would not have any issue at all, and everybody would not be looking for other options, but would be enrolling and keeping their kids right here in CFB. With this month being Board Appreciation Month, I think that I, more than probably a lot of folks, understand really the selfishness of the service of the board. It's a volunteer-free position, and it really is a full-time job. Dr. Burns mentioned the hours of volunteering that the board does, but it really is every day, 24/7 service and work on behalf of the district. And with my experience volunteering with our district and serving on city boards and commissions and my current work with the state of Texas, I understand that probably more than a lot of folks do. So I appreciate the service of the board, and great things are happening in CFB in our district, and it does make it easy for us folks that are ambassadors to get the word out, because good things are happening, and just today, another school nominated for Blue Ribbon at Rosemead. So when I first lived in the district, I lived in the Denton County portion of the district, so very glad to hear that. And I know good things are going to continue to happen for the rest of this school term and into the next. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes audience for guests. We will now move to agenda item 4B, which is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is a mechanism we use to approve a number of routine items together with a single vote. And this is in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. The public notice for this meeting includes the list of all consent agenda items, and the board has been provided ample information about these items in advance. Therefore, prior to any action being taken on the consent agenda, board members may request withdrawal of individual items for clarification or discussion. Board members, at this time, are there any items you would like to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none, seeing none, do I have a motion? Ms. Klein.
Mr. Good, I would recommend that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Second by Mr. Shackman. At this time, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. We will now go on to agenda item 4C. Dr. Burns, I'll go back to you for a moment.
Thank you, Mr. Good. Members of the board, as you're aware, Mr. Hyatt is retiring here at the end of this month and moving to Georgetown, and so it's a sad time for us, a happy time for him, though, and so we want to wish him well. But I do have to say on the record, and I told the board earlier in this, that there's no one that I trust more than Mark Hyatt. And that's an important quality to have in somebody that's handling your money, right? Okay? But this district has been so fortunate to be led in the business side by Mr. Hyatt. We have the most financial integrity of any school district in the state of Texas. We've done more to manage hard times, to maximize good times, and it's due to him and his team's diligence on knowing where the money's spent, how it's spent, how much we have, which he reminds me frequently, or how much we don't have. But, you know, as a superintendent, I would have to say to you, there are not many people out there in the state of Texas, or probably in the country, as qualified as Mr. Hyatt, and there's not one as good a person as Mr. Hyatt. So we're going to miss him dearly. We're going to honor him on the 25th of January in this very room from 4 to 6. He loves a good party, so we're gonna give him a good going away party. Thank him for his many years of service. Sometimes we don't think about how much we appreciate someone till we realize that they're about to leave. And so every day it dawns on me that in February I'm going to look around and I don't see Mr. Hyatt. And so it's going to be tough. He's been a great friend to me, but as I said earlier, more than that, he's been a great steward of your finances in this school district, and we are very fortunate of that. We're also very fortunate, though, to the next thing that I'm going to ask the board to approve, and that is we have found a replacement, and we are very fortunate that that person is already in our district, knows our district, believes in what we're doing, believes in our commitment to student achievement, and so we feel very fortunate, very, very fortunate that we were able to find Mark's replacement right here in our school district. And so I'd like to formally recommend to you tonight Ms. Tanya Tillman as our Associate Superintendent for Business Services.
Board members, that is an action item. Mr. Matthews.
Mr. Good, it is my honor and privilege to move that we do, in fact, accept Dr. Burns' recommendation of Tanya Tillman for our new Associate Superintendent for Business Services.
I have a motion. Yes, sir.
If we approve Dr. Burns' request for Mr. Hyatt's replacement, does that guarantee that Mark has to leave? Because I'm ready to second it.
I believe.
Well, we can't afford two of them. Does that take?
Okay, I second it.
I have a second by Mr. Shore. Board members, at this time, all those in favor of the approval of the selection of Tanya Tillman as the Associate Superintendent for Business Services, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. And before we move on, Ms. Tillman, would you like to make any comment? Okay, thank you. Mr. Hyatt, I believe we will let you sit there until the duration of this meeting.
Okay. Yeah, we will have the roast on the 25th. So this was the good stuff tonight, so come back on the 25th. So
We'll move on to agenda item 4D, which is report on Senate Bill 66 relating to the use of epinephrine auto-injectors on public school and open enrollment charter school campuses. Dr. Burns.
yes, thank you, Mr. Good. Members of the board, you're aware that we have had this before you in the past for certainly a very important reason, and then we were certainly waiting for the state to take some action to give you some authority to do something at the local level. We have a little bit more information regarding that now, and so we're going to give you a brief update on that. We're also very fortunate that we have Dr. Rivera, who serves as an advisor in our school district, who is, I think, the most knowledgeable about this of anyone, and so we are just pleased that he continues to help us with crafting and finding the best policy and the best direction for us to do regarding this. So Sandra, I think, is going to lead it first, and Dr. Rivera is going to help with presenting the information. So, Sandra?
Thank you, Dr. Burns, Mr. Good, and board. Senate Bill 66 requires Texas public schools and open enrollment charter schools to have unassigned stock epinephrine auto-injectors available on campus and at all school-sponsored events. It also requires that staff be well-trained in recognizing and treating anaphylaxis. The bill requires the Commissioner of State Health Services to appoint an advisory commission of physicians that have expertise in treating anaphylaxis. These physicians will adopt rules for school districts to use in the implementation of Senate Bill 66. Their recommendations will address the following points: the quantity of auto-injectors to be required at each campus, guidelines for the secure storage of auto-injectors and their transport to and from off-campus school-sponsored activities. Guidelines for checking the auto-injectors for expiration and for replacement, the training requirements for staff, requirements for each campus to have one or more trained individuals on campus at all times during school hours, and they will also give us guidelines for post-administration reporting. I spoke with Anita Wheeler. She is the Texas Department of Health Services representative, and she serves on the advisory board. I spoke with her on January the 8th. She reports that all the committee members have been appointed and that the committee has begun its work. She reports that the committee hopes and plans to have their preliminary guidelines released by August or September of 2016. The guidelines will then be required to be submitted for public comment. After the public comment period has expired, the advisory board will reconvene, and they will be required to address any comments or concerns that are raised. This will most likely result in revisions. Once the revisions are completed, the final recommendations will then be released. Due to this potential for revisions, Ms. Wheeler has recommended that school districts do not finalize their policy until the final recommendations are released. She did, however, recommend that we begin discussions on how to implement Senate Bill 66 in our district. She encouraged me to contact her directly with any concerns that are raised during this process. She hopes that if the advisory committee is able to address concerns as they work, it will minimize the need for public comment and reduce the need for revisions. If there are a large number of revisions required, this, of course, will delay the release of the final recommendations. In accordance with Ms. Wheeler's recommendations, we have set up a subcommittee of nurses along with our medical director, Dr. Rivera. The subcommittee will bring forth policy recommendations for the implementation of Senate Bill 66. Additionally, I will be providing updates to the SHAC committee and obtaining their feedback. Now I would like to turn the floor over to Dr. Rivera, our medical director, and he will make some concluding remarks and take any questions.
Good evening. She stole most of my thunder, but anyway, I actually have a couple of copies, about 5 of the bill, if anyone wants to wade through this. But basically, it is set up in such a way of, one, producing or creating this advisory committee, and they are in the process of being advisors. Like any sort of legislation, will be like wading through molasses here. It does set up and specify what is will be the training of the people at the different schools, whether it's a school nurse or other assigned person for that. It'll give guidelines as to what to watch for, how to diagnose. That's not a good word that others want to hear, but how to, I guess, identify a child who might be having an anaphylactic reaction, and on the proper use of the auto-injectables. There have been up to 6 different brands, although now we're down to 1, the EpiPen. As you recall, I've heard that the company would supply free EpiPens, so I went ahead and got some here last year. Unfortunately, I didn't get y'all's permission, so we had them taken all back up, and they have all since expired. So anyway, I've got a couple $1,000 worth of expired medicine at home. Anyway, I have what are referred to as the trainers. You want to pass those out. I'm not sure how many of y'all have actually seen or used a EpiPen or not, but if you want to pass those to the board or anybody interested, this is what the device looks like. This actually are the real things. Although they come in a twin pack, but expired. They are spring-loaded. You essentially pull the blue cap off. You then press the orange portion, outer lateral thigh, and it clicks. And when it clicks, it spring injects in a needle. The medication is delivered, and when you let go, it covers up the needle. So it's now cannot use single-use device. What you have there is a trainer, so you can actually push in the wings and reset for instruction purposes. I went ahead and opened up and stole these from some of these other boxes. But that's it. I mean, it's a very simple device how to use. So as far as the training, drawing up, measuring, anything, they come in two sizes. One referred to as EpiPen Junior, and then a regular size. And it's on a kind of weight basis. Under 60 pounds gets a junior, over gets the regular size. The other concern that has been raised was liability. The bill places comment on that, and if I can wade through my notes, basically stating that it includes, quote, immunity and liability, so a person who is in good faith takes action, or actually even fails to take action, under this legislature is immune from civil and criminal liability or disciplinary action resulting from the action of or failure to act. This immunity from liability includes any person's, and they go on to list issuing an order for the epinephrine, supervising, delegating, administration of the medicine, processing, maintaining, storing, disposing of, prescribing, dispensing, administering, assisting, teaching, training, consultation, etc. So if you ever come close to the stuff, you're protected by state law. It also requires that there be a physician licensed and in good standing, which is me, to prescribe the medication for the school district in the school district's name. And likewise, I will also not be held liable if anything were to happen with the use of it. So I think we have a lot of the key components already in place. We just have to wait for the final draft, and that's where, again, the committee that will be formed or has been formed will kind of work through the process of education, training, who will be assigned, where they'll be, et cetera. And all those details have yet to be, we're going to have to come from the state from that. I just wanted to, like I said, I've been trying to beat this bush here for a while, and it's referred to as Cameron's Law, after Cameron Hinojosa, a young man in Corpus Christi who died on the football field, died after being multiply stung by fire ants and having an anaphylactic reaction. You all may be aware there was a young lady here recent months in the Frisco ISD who died from an anaphylactic reaction because there wasn't an EpiPen for her available. So this is a real thing, and we've not had, actually we did have in Las Colinas an episode of a young lady who had a known peanut allergy. She had the EpiPens, but her mother did not want her to have it because she was old enough to know better, but inadvertently did consume peanut protein, resulted in hospitalization, intubation for a period of time, ICU for a period of time, and had an EpiPen been available, even though her mother would not give one, if a stock one was available, would have prevented a lot of that. So I think it's very important to me to continue to get this in our district. I understand the legalities of it, and like I said, we'll be wading through molasses for the next 6 to 9 months, but hopefully there will be a chance to have that. Questions from the board?
Board members, any questions? Yes.
A comment. And Dr. Rivera and everybody, thank you for working on this. I don't need the trainer. These are the EpiPens that save our son's life when he has an allergic reaction. We went through and worked with the nursing staff at Turner High School while he was there. The beauty that I see as they get this crafted into legislation that we can fully adopt is that it will make it better and easier to access that. My great fear was that we had the pens on site in the nurse's office at the front part of Turner High School, and when he was in the Metza building, I always was anxious about the 2.5 to 3 minutes it would have taken to get that pen there. So thank you for what you're doing. I know our board will continue to work with the administration on this, and we look forward to getting this implemented. Hopefully, we'll never have to use them, but if we need them, hopefully it'll save the lives of our students.
Two other points I just remembered. At one time, I think there still is, are some legislation about school districts receiving gifts or funds or whatever. The law addresses that and says that in regards to the EpiPen, that doesn't relate, whether it's a gift from, or a grant, whether it be state, whether it be federal, whether it be private. In regards to these medications, that is not prohibited. And a last thought, and I forgot it. Oh, yeah, the medicine. Right now, the only player in town is the EpiPen by Milam, and that's why I'm not a surgeon. And that's, they still have the free EpiPens for school program. So they will supply us with a pen for every school in our district. I actually got them for the trainers too. They will resupply them at no charge every calendar year. If we need to use them and need to replace, they will sell them to us at a market discount. They're about $100 a box, I believe. We'll get them for about half price if we were needing to replace one after being used. But one, that the concern of the gifts is no longer there, and two, I can get them free. So,
Board members, any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none. Board members, this is an action item, and maybe first thing I'm going to have to do is probably paraphrase exactly what a motion should entail. As I've heard and understand, we would make a motion to approve Dr. Rivera and an advisory subcommittee to continue to make policy recommendations regarding the use of the epinephrine auto-injectors on public school, and of course, that would include open enrollment charter school campuses. Are there any other areas that we need to specifically identify in our motion?
at this time, no.
Very good. Therefore, board members, do I have a motion?
Mr. Good, I would be honored to make that motion exactly the way you read it.
Okay, very good. I have a motion, and I have a second by Mr. Matthews. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much, and thank you for the report.
And it's too late now, but I'll say, and there may be a time we may request additional people on our advisory board within our own district, and I guess that's up to our discretion to pull in whoever we need to pull in.
You have the liberty of choosing as many people as you like to serve on that subcommittee.
All right, thank you, sir.
We will move on now to agenda item 4E, which is the annual report on state accountability. Dr. Burns?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Good. And members of the board, as you realize, and as you know, that we annually have an update on the state accountability system. So I'm going to give it over to Ms. Warnock for a few comments, and I think she's going to turn it then to our expert on accountability, Ms. Patty Parker.
I am. So we are pleased tonight, the Educational Services Division, to report on our 2014-15 Texas Academic Performance Report. And we'll turn it over to Ms. Patty Parker, our Director of Assessment and Accountability, to do so.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight's presentation highlights areas addressed within the Texas Academic Performance Report for 2015 State Accountability. Recall the assessment and accountability calendar differs from the typical school year. A couple of months ago, we shared information related to campus and district ratings that was released by TEA in August of 2015. This evening's presentation will focus on additional information received from the state in November and December of this past year. Per Texas Education and Administrative Codes, districts are required to hold a public meeting and publish this annual report within 90 days of its release. This is the third year the district's annual report was released within the Texas Academic Performance Report, known as TAPER. Previously, the performance of students in each school and district in Texas was included in a report called the Academic Excellence Indicator System. After this meeting, a copy of the 2014-15 Texas Academic Performance Reports will be published on the district's website to meet the state's notification requirements. The information provided on TAPER can be categorized into the 3 areas shown here. A majority of it is still largely based on student performance on STAR tests that were taken during the 2014-15 school year. While much of the information was initially provided with the release of district and campus ratings in August, TAPER contains cumulative information on student performance across all subject areas based on grade level, and provides more details on the participation and performance areas within post-secondary readiness indicators. In addition, districts are required to include within this annual report their accreditation status, financial standing, safety measures, and information received from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board on college-going trends. Along with STAR results, TAPER also reports demographic information for those students who enrolled in campus or the district as of October the 31st in 2014 at our PEAM snapshot date. Since the TAPER report contains performance comparisons between the state and the district, this profile of student information details some of the similarities and differences between our various student groups and enrollment patterns. Turning our attention to STAR test performance. At the all subject and grade level, the district surpassed the state in the percent of students meeting the phase-in satisfactory standard and met the state in the percent of students meeting advanced standard. One thing to take into consideration is these results do not include student performance on math assignments for grades 3 through 8 or STAR A and STAR Alt 2 tests that were taken by students served by 504 or special education programs. As a result, a direct comparison to the 2014 STAR data is not possible for accountability purposes. Likewise, the SSI, or Student Success Initiative, results contain only grade 5 and 8 reading scores for those students enrolled at our snapshot date. The state's accountability rating system includes 3 system safeguard reporting indicators. They have no impact on our rating, but are reported to ensure alignment with state accountability, Index 1 results, and federal assessment and accountability requirements. System safeguard indicators are measured by the number of target scores met by each of the 10 student groups included within TAPER. The student groups are determined by ethnicity, economic status, and program services. The chart at the top shows the percentage of system safeguard indicators met by the state, region, and district in each of the 3 areas. In the previous slide, we saw that the number of test takers meeting satisfactory on the STAR test in 2015 for our district was 79%. System safeguard performance indicators take a closer look at how many of the test takers within each of the student groups met the STAR passing standard at 60% or higher. CFB met this target at 91%. Participation indicators are based on the number of students enrolled at the time of testing and the number of answer documents that are submitted for STAR testing. The participation rate indicator for test takers is set at 95%. It is based on federal accountability guidelines from No Child Left Behind legislation, requiring that at least 95% of the students in each student group participate in annual state exams. In this area, we met the 95% threshold for all 10 of the student groups in CFB. Next, let's look at graduation. Overall, the district's 4-year graduation rate for the class of 2014 was 93.9%. Graduation system safeguard indicators are based on 4-year and 5-year federal graduation rates that are set at the 83% or higher threshold. In terms of graduation indicators, we met the target for 88% of our student groups reported on TAPER. The second chart identifies areas of interventions that have been targeted by the district for an area of growth in 2016. As can be seen, the percentage of students served by special education and English language learners is an area needing to be addressed across the state. Last year, in CFB, 58% of students served in special education met the satisfactory passing standard for all subjects tested. This is 15 percentage points higher than the state and 11 percentage points higher than the region. It is also important to note that in 2015, this was the first year in which the STAR modified exams were replaced by a STAR test version that either had supplemental aids or built-in online accommodations. As stated previously, the district is required to include information on college-going trends for the reported cohort. Additional information such as the first-year GPA at Texas public colleges and universities can be found within the posted TAPER report on our website. The Texas Coordinating Board identified 43% of our graduates as not found or tractable in Texas Institutes of Higher Education. However, using information from the National Student Clearinghouse, we are able to show that an additional 9% of our students attended post-secondary schools outside of Texas. And as a result, 66% of high school graduates from the class of 2013 enrolled in college during their first year after high school. Now, this is an annual report, but if we were to include courses taken this past fall semester, the percent of students enrolled in college at any time during their first 2 years after high school rises to 71%, with just over half enrolled in a 2-year college program. Post-secondary readiness indicators include graduation rates, college entrance exams such as SAT and ACT, as well as advanced level coursework completed in high school. Based on cohort 2013 and 2014 college-going trends, CFB outpaced the state and the region in 5 out of 6 post-secondary readiness indicators. Comparatively, our highest areas were in surpassing the state was in graduation and advanced placement international baccalaureate test scores. We were 5.6 percentage points above the state on 4-year graduation rates and 8.4 percentage points above the state in qualifying test scores. The TAPER reports posted on the district's website include additional subject area and grade level information in all of the areas that we've discussed tonight. District and campus TAPER reports can also be accessed at TEA's website. Ms. Warnock, that concludes this portion of tonight's report.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Dr. Burns, that concludes our presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Board members, any questions regarding the Texas Academic Performance Report? Mr. Short.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Parker, I'm confused by something, okay? I heard you mention something about that 66% of our students were tracked going to college, and by checking another
Semester, of course.
semester or something, we found 9% more kids.
For the class of 2013, the Texas Coordinating Board provides a report that we are able to demonstrate that in Carrollton-Farmers branch, there were 958 students that were enrolled in some capacity at an Institute of Higher Education within the state of Texas. So that kind of represents 57% of our graduating class.
Okay.
So they only look at students enrolled inside of Texas.
Okay.
We use the National Clearinghouse to take a look at the same year and see how many of our students were enrolled in college outside of the state of Texas. And that was an additional 149 students. So that brings the total of students that attended courses during their first year after graduation at 1,107 students, which represents 66% of the graduating class from 2013.
Okay, so approximately 67% of the graduating students were in college.
Attending college in some
Okay.
capacity, yes, sir.
Okay. My question is our report card somehow being graded on the number of students who have graduated the previous year and are enrolled in college? Why does that 66% number matter to anybody perhaps besides us?
It's a requirement for the state to report what students are doing beyond high school. It's part, although it's not part of the rating itself as a district or as a campus, but the state law does require that we report this information annually in a public hearing, as well as they include it within the TAPER report for our district.
Why?
I believe that people are interested in what happens beyond high school.
Okay.
Are
so-
we preparing students for what occurs beyond high school in terms of college and career readiness standards?
Okay. I can see why Highland Park would want this reported. I can see why Southlake would want this reported, okay? I would imagine that some other school districts would say, you know, our kids just economically don't have the wherewithal to go to a four-year school. And so I guess where I'm going with this is if our paper is being graded and perhaps it's graded lower, perhaps it would be graded higher if we had 68% kids in college versus 66%, then I would challenge the teacher who's grading my paper to explain to me, why is my paper being graded lower for something I have no control over?
I understand.
Yeah, and Mr. Shore, I would add to Ms. Parker's explanation that this is a report-only category, so it's really just information for the public. It doesn't impact our accountability, or as we shift to an A, B, C, F rating system for school districts, that is, remains a report-only indicator for information. It would not impact the accountability rating.
But it's information the state mandates to be made available to the public.
Yes, sir.
That is correct, yes, sir.
Yes, every district.
Do we know where 66% puts us with respect to the largest 200 school districts in the state?
I do not at this time, but I can find out.
We can
We
find
can
it out.
definitely provide that information.
Did I misunderstand? Maybe I misunderstood. Didn't you come up with another 5% somewhere to make it like 71%?
Since this is an annual report, we can see that after their first year, but one of the things is we can continue tracking our students beyond just their first year. And one of the things to take into consideration, it could be economics, it could be decisions made after high school. The number of students that are entering into college beyond just their first year of high school graduation continues to rise.
And I would say that with certainty, CFB exceeds the median poverty level in the state of Texas. We have more students in poverty that we serve than the average in the state of Texas, but that our college enrollment rate exceeds what the national average is. So, we feel like there's miles to go, but we also support students that are going directly into the workforce, that are going to serve our country in the military, and think that those are important occupations and fields too.
And included in this is also a number of certificates that individuals will get through technology or trade schools as well.
Mr. Shackman.
Getting an opportunity to dive into these numbers, Mrs. Warnock and Ms. Parker, please share my personal, and I know all of our board's appreciation to a wonderful job. I said, I think there's a tremendous amount of positive numbers in this report that just says we are helping to achieve our goal. I did find one thing in this report that I thought was interesting, and board members, I'd like for us to think about what we may want to do approaching this. I found it was interesting as you dug down into the demographics that we have, in terms of the number of years of experience of our teachers, it appears that we have a little higher turnover than the average in the state, and we have younger, less experienced teachers a little bit more in some of those numbers. And so my challenge to us as a board is to work with our staff and admin and to say, is there anything that we can do or should do to help maximize teacher retention? Is there anything else we can do to work with that? And what can we do to make sure we keep the best of the best here? And so that would be something that I noticed that I thought was worth at least pointing out and saying, that, you know, if it's a work study item coming up, whatever it is, I'd love to see this board spend some time talking about that and say, how do we maximize teacher experience in our classrooms?
Board members, other questions? Maybe a final question for Dr. Burns. Dr. Burns, we look at the report. It tells us areas where we can improve. How do you go about creating an action plan from this report that we as a board have opportunity, shall I say, to monitor?
Yeah, Mr. Good and members of the board, all of these reports are aligned to the things and the initiatives in our district plan. So everything is aligned to what the state is holding us accountable to, in addition to what we hold us accountable as a district to, and the district plan all aligns underneath that, as well as your ERG balance scorecard that we use. So it drives what's in that district plan. That's the easiest and simplest way to say it.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, board members. If there are no other questions, we're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item 4F, which is a public hearing on the 2014-2015 Texas Academic Performance Report. So therefore, at this time, I'm going to call a public hearing regarding accountability to order at 9:08 p.m. The board will now hear from anyone in the audience who would like to speak regarding this item. And please, if you would like to speak, you can indicate your interest by raising your hand. I see no hands, but I'm willing to pause for a few seconds to see if anyone is just hesitant to raise their hand. Seeing that there are no individuals wishing to speak, this public hearing regarding accountability is closed at 9:09 p.m. Thank you very much. We will now go to agenda item 4G, consider acceptance of the district's comprehensive annual financial report for the period ending August 31st, 2015. Dr. Burns?
Yes, Mr. Good, members of the board, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hyatt for this report.
Thank you, Dr. Burns. Normally, in the past, I would have deferred this to Ms. Tillman, but I asked her for the privilege of presenting this last financial report to the school board. I consider it somewhat poetic that my last meeting as a staff person for the school district and the school board, we have the opportunity to present a set of financial statements for you to approve. I won't bore the board or the public with a lot of the details of the financials because we did present those details to the board's audit committee prior to this meeting. We reviewed those statements with the boards. I'd like to point out Mr. Scott Roderick led that presentation. If the board doesn't get to see Mr. Roderick very much, you need to recognize the quality of person he is and the skills he brings to this district. Our approach to doing financial statements and the annual audit is greatly enhanced by his skills. Mr. Franks was here earlier. I don't see him right now, but he also provides the other side of the token. Even though Scott accumulates the financials, what Mr. Franks does in the processing of the day-to-day transactions allows comprehensively to capture accurate information. And I'm going to save Tanya for last, but Dr. Burns uses the phrase a lot, and I think he was one of the first ones to really fully emphasize and recognize the importance of the accuracy and the readability of your financial information. You guys are the ones who make the decisions. But if you can't rely on the information that you're making the decisions on, you can't make good decisions. I take great privilege in telling you that I believe this district does as good a job as any district in the state of Texas in providing you accurate and usable is probably more important than most people realize, because an abundance of data doesn't help you if you can't analyze or use it. I saved Tanya for last because I want you to know I believe I've added some value to this district. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't have stayed so long. But I'm telling you, the young lady that's walking in behind me will bring more value than I ever did. She's got the skills and she's got the personality to do it. Give her the chance to learn a few things. She doesn't need much, but you will be very, very happy with her taking this chair. And I couldn't be prouder to leave it to her. So, with that said, I'd like to present to you the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for 2015. The first one I presented to this board was in 1985. You can count them up if you want to. But I recommend to the board to take a recommendation from the Audit Committee to accept this report. Ms. Klein is the chairman of the Audit Committee. I return to her.
Ms. Clyde.
Mr. Good, the audit committee met, as Mr. Hyatt described, at 5 p.m. and listened to the briefing on the CAFR, and the audit committee is recommending acceptance of the district's CAFR.
Very good. This being a recommendation from the audit committee does not require a second. However, board members, do any of you have any questions regarding this financial report before we vote on it? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor of accepting this report, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Klein, and the committee. And Mr. Hyde, of course. Well, see, but he's history. I'm sorry, Mark, we're just getting a head start for it. We will move on to agenda item 4H, which is consider all matters related to Board of Trustees 2016 election. First item, 4H1, is consider approval of the revisions to policy BBB local to reflect recent changes in the district's election policies. This is the second reading. Board members, there have been no changes, and the policy stands as previously presented. However, this being the second reading, we need to take action to either accept or to reject. Therefore, do I have a motion on what you would like to do regarding this policy? Yeah. Mr. Shore.
The answer is yes, because I would make a motion that the policy reflect what we have done. But I don't think that's the appropriate way of phrasing the motion.
Well, you phrase it any way you wish, Mr. Shore. How would you like to phrase that motion?
I'll give this a try. I'll give this a try. I move that the revisions to policy BBB, parens, local, close parens, reflect that we are now using the cumulative voting system as opposed to the system that was employed before we went to cumulative voting. Yeah,
Understand.
and what Nancy said.
I understand. You're recommending approval of that BBB local revision that incorporates that.
Yes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Matthews.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor of approval of BBB local with the revisions for cumulative voting, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. 4H2 is...
Before we jump on
Yes, sir.
to that, because we have only touched BBB local, have we made the appropriate revisions either through TASB with their folks and attorneys, but it appears to me that there's some sections of BBB legal that are out of date with our current cumulative voting process. And I'm curious about that because we still have some information in there about majority vote options, about some particulars with majority vote relative to runoff and some of that, and it's just not relevant anymore. And so I'm wondering if there's a need to also be some changes in BBB legal.
Yep. That's a great question, Mr. Shackman. You can't change anything in the legal, even though it may have some extraneous information that really is not relevant to us. The local is the one that defines what you're doing.
Okay.
So unless TASB makes some adjustments or legislation causes legal to change, legal comes as it is, and then your options are to tweak it under legal guidance. You can't go outside the boundary of the legal policy, but you can add to it and clarify language, and that's where the local comes. So for us, local will guide that as long as we don't violate anything in the legal. And I don't believe we have, our counsel is here, so I think we are perfectly aligned to what policy would say is that there's some legal language, but our local defines what we're doing. So would that be it, Ms.
Okay.
Klingrak? Okay.
Got it, thank you. It's good clarification.
Policies include all of the available legal applications of the law, and only through our local policy do we limit them. And without looking at specifically what you're looking at, I'm going to venture a guess. It's the district may elect an option to elect a majority vote or a plurality vote, and you, through your local policies, determine which one you choose to do. In fact, I think we passed a resolution at the last meeting to rescind your plurality election that you'd already had done. So we do have to make some of those adjustments.
Okay, good. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to agenda item 4H2, which is report on voter education communication plan. Dr. Burns?
Mr. Good Mayor's Board, we thought we'd just kind of bring you a brief update on where we are with the meetings, the presentations, et cetera, and just kind of provide you a current summary. And then if you would like, we would continue to do this meeting just to let the public know where we are on our plan to communicate our new system. So Ms. Brown is going to update you on it.
Good evening, I'm Angela Shelley Brown, and I'm here to give us just a brief update on our cumulative voting education plan. We're well underway in our plan, and I appreciate the opportunity just to share with you a little bit about it. I want to reiterate what we discussed the last board meeting, that we have really 3 goals in our community education plan. And that is that we want to make sure that our public understands what cumulative voting is. We want them to understand that the election is May the 7th, and where early voting takes place, where they can vote. We also want to increase voter registration, and so those are really our 3 goals as we look at this program and this communications plan. We discussed the last meeting lots of options, and with your direction, we have then come back and developed a pretty comprehensive plan. And tonight, I just want to highlight a few of those, the pieces in that plan. We've already begun to have advertisements in local newspapers, and that's one of the strongest ways that we can get our word out. Here is one of the advertisements that appeared this past week in the Carrollton Leader. We will have advertisements in the newspaper running between now and the May 7th election. They will occur in both the Carrollton Leader, the Coppell Gazette, the Dallas Morning News, and Aldea newspaper. And we will have those running regularly through the entire time. So pretty much every other week we will have an ad running in English and in Spanish. And then, so we think we'll reach a lot of our voters in that realm. We know that not everyone reads the newspaper, and so we are also using some other tactics to reach all of our voters and our community members. Some of the other tactics that we're using is social media. We're launching, actually starting tomorrow, we will begin our online and social media campaign. We'll be targeting not just our voters in our area, but all of our community members in English and in Spanish. And we will be using Facebook. We will be using also Instagram to target some of our demographic that's 18 years old, the kind of the 18 to 20-year-olds. And then we will be using other online ways that we can reach and target the citizens in our area with the information. Remember, it's the 3 goals. We want them to know what cumulative voting is. We want them to understand when the election is and where they can vote, and then we want them to make sure that they're registered to vote. We will also be doing email marketing, and so we will be running several different campaigns kind of tied with those 3 goals during this time frame between now and May, and using email marketing. We will follow that up with direct mail marketing. We will do 1 direct mail marketing to all of the residents in our school district. Direct mail marketing is done by zip code, so it will go a little bit outside of our boundaries, but we'll get as tight as we can to that. We'll just do 1 of those because of the expense. That's going to be our most expensive piece that we have in this entire campaign. And that will occur really in early April, late March, first week of April. We feel like that's a good time period. We really want to push right before the voter registration deadline, which is April the 7th. So that's why we're going to kind of target that time period. We have a website that we've already set up, and we're getting lots of hits every day on our website. As we've done more and more presentations, our analytics are showing that people are visiting our website. They're looking at the videos that we have. That's really the main place that they're going to see. They're looking at our English and our Spanish video. We're getting lots of hits on both of those videos. We have lots of resources on the cfbelections.com website. And people are looking at, similar to what we have here, they can find out election dates, times, locations once we're ready to publish those. We're not quite ready with Dallas County elections yet. One of the biggest ways that we are reaching our public is through presentations, and those are well underway. Several of you have gone and done presentations already, and we have 43 more already scheduled, and we have feelers out to about 100 others. So as I've been sitting here, I've gotten a couple of emails from people who are trying to schedule other presentations. So thank you for being busy and helping us with the presentations throughout our community. I would encourage the public, if you would like us to come and speak at one of your organizations, to email the school district. You can email cfbinfo@cfbisd.edu, and we will schedule that for you. Or you can also, on our website, cfbelections.com, there's a form to fill out, and I can schedule that time for you. And so at this point, we have 43 more scheduled to do. So be looking for that information and sign up to help us present those. The last piece that we've just launched is that we're putting posters, flyers, voter registration cards in all of the CFBISD buildings, but also we're going to partner with all of our local government entities, and we're putting them in city halls, libraries, and recreation centers, so that we can, hopefully when people will see the information, they'll know what cumulative voting is. They'll hopefully see it and understand when our election is and how they can get involved and how they can register to vote. So that's kind of an overview of what our program is. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Board members, any questions for Ms. Brown? Rather quiet board this evening. With that being said, thank you, Angela, for your report.
Good job, Angela.
Board members, we'll move on to agenda item 5, which is comments from board members regarding posted agenda items. This is your opportunity to speak. Mr. Shore.
This is Board Appreciation Month, and I just want to relate to each of you how proud I am and how privileged I feel to be able to serve with each and every one of you. It is an honor to serve with such capable people, and I appreciate your willingness to serve.
Mr. Shackman.
Mr. Rochik, again, thank you for always coming. We appreciate hearing from Council PTA. I'm hopeful that you will help me remember, because I want to make sure that all the board knows, our Council PTA was honored with and I'm trying to remember, the Backing the Future Award. I don't know if I'm saying that exact right. There are only 3 Council PTAs in the entire state of Texas that received that award, and CFB-ISD Council PTA was one of them. We're very proud of them. Please communicate all of our board's appreciation to the leadership and to all of the Council PTA, and keep up the great work. Mr. Hyatt, I guess even I would have to say in leaving, go Baylor Bears.
Board members, Mr. Fleming.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Tanya Tillman to the new ranks of superintendent. And at the same time, I'd like to tell Mark Hyatt, you will be missed. I remember coming in 7 years ago and asking Mark all kind of questions regarding the budget. Mark always had an answer for me, but he always made me feel like I had the right answer, even though a lot of times I did not. But again, thank you for your time, thank you for your talents, and you will be missed.
I too would like to wish Mr. Hyde a fond farewell. I was one of the first people that you met in this district. We played in a golf tournament, the Coca-Cola Coaches and Principals Tournament at Brookhaven. They used to put on every year. It was a great deal. And Mark walked up on that first tee. He didn't know anybody, and you've been a good friend, not only to me, but this school district for over 30 years, and we really appreciate it. We're going to miss you. And I am excited that Tanya is taking that seat.
Board members, any other comments? If not, Mr. Ramos.
I haven't really had a chance to really work with you, but I do want to wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors and retirement, and congratulations to Tanya.
Mark, you have to remember, we get the last word here next week. With that being said, we'll move on to agenda item 6. Closed meeting is authorized under Texas Government Code, including but not limited to Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, real property, 551.074, personnel matters, 551.076, security devices, 551.082, school children, district employees, disciplinary matter, or complaint, 551.0821, personally identifiable student information, and 551.084, investigation. Specifically, agenda item 6A is pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with our district legal counsel regarding possible settlement of employee grievance and pending litigation against the district, including civil action number 315 CV 01413B, pending in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas, and 6B, which is pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.072, deliberation regarding the purchase of real property. Board members, what we will do at this time, we will leave here, go into the executive conference room for those 2 agenda items, and then you're welcome to stay here. Don't know how long it will be, but I encourage you, if you have a blanket, you might want it. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully it's not that long. With that being said, we will then recess to our closed meeting at 9:29 p.m. Board members, we will reconvene this public meeting at 10:31 p.m. We will go to agenda item 7A, which is consider and take possible action regarding possible settlement of employee grievance and pending litigation, civil action number 315-CV-01413-B, pending in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas. Board members, is there anything in closed session you would like to make a motion regarding now? Mr. Fleming.
I move that the board authorize the board president to execute the necessary settlement documents to resolve the litigation and grievance matters pertaining to Ruben Zavala and Maria Zavala, including civil action number 315-CV-01413-B, pending in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas pursuant to the settlement terms discussed in closed session.
I have a motion by Mr. Fleming. Do I have a second? Board members, by my determination, the motion dies for lack of a second. I'm giving you the opportunity if anybody wants to reconsider. If not, then this, Mr. Fleming's motion dies. With that being said, we have no further action to take up at this time, and we have reached the end of our agenda, and we are adjourned at 10:33 p.m. Thank you very much.